Hello, welcome to Ones of the Force of Stars podcast. My name is Phil, of course. I'm joined as usual by Dave. Good evening, Dave.
Good evening, my friend. Back again. Distance.
Indeed, we are this time. So, season 2, episode 6, From Beneath. Before we go into it, initial thoughts on this particular episode. I think you and I might slightly differ.
I think from the way we've talked, I think you're right that we will slightly differ. I didn't really enjoy this episode. I didn't get a lot out of it. And I think the reason behind that is because this episode is very much for me another creature feature. And to be honest, we've just come off the back of 2 episodes that were very much the same thing. Like big monster, must do something to get past these monsters and move on. And I was really hoping that we get some more story. I mean, I really miss Tam. Like she's just kind of off with the
it's first in the order. Void.
Yeah, and I'm kind of missed that. I think that's a big part that should be using. So yeah, I'm not overly happy with this episode, but that's just because we've kind of had the similar episode 2 episodes ago.
Now, I agree with you on that particular front. I'm not happy with the fact we've had a creature feature back to back, especially considering the first 2 could have been either one or if they could split certain parts. As we've discussed in our past 2 episodes, there are flaws with those. I like the first part, especially with the training, but the second one again was much more of a okay, this is your creature feature, and this was another one right off the bat. If this has been left to later on, because there's a really cool point to the start of it, it's fine, but they could have left it to further on the storyline. So we now know that we are at a different planet, and of course they run out of fuel. So the whole thing is they need more fuel, and I like that part of it. It's just then, I mean, they could have done the mining guild, but they've done that rebel, so I understand why they didn't want to mirror that too much. So they have, but again, in that one though, they had the Bird Guild. So again, they've kind of mirrored it again. You can't have too many mirrors, but at the same time, you've got to play it safe in some areas and still a kid show. You can't really have too much meat on the bone. There's a lot of things around it. So taking it for what it is, I liked it as a whole in terms of the episode itself. I thought it was a very fun episode. And I like the whole, you don't see the creature until quite a way through. It's like mystery. By the same token, on the whole of the episode, though, I still thought it's just more filler. And as we were discussing before we came on air, I think I know why, with the fact that The Rise of Skywalker is 5 weeks away. It is less than 50 days. In fact, I know how it's less than 50 days because a friend of mine, he does a Gold Squadron podcast for X-Wing. He is on his Facebook, his personal one, doing a countdown to Star Wars for 50 days, wearing 50 different Star Wars t-shirts.
Oh, nice.
Both brilliant and insane. So that's how I know how many days we have left, purely because I just look at how many days we've got left, check them out, right, that's how many days he's done, that's it. But because of that, though, there is this lacking of the First Order, there's lacking of meat on the bone, because of where this is uniquely set in the storyline, they can't give too much away, and they can't, but they also have to keep it moving forward, and it's that really annoying point where we're at now.
Yeah, they can't lap into anything that gets to Rise of Skywalker. They can't get into that territory at all. And I'm guessing the way the episodes were started and when the season started was very much timed, so that is the case. I hold out a bit more hope for the episodes we've got coming up, but yeah, this one was just a little bit of a disappointment for me based on what it is.
Indeed. I mean, I thought it was quite fun, but I don't know if the fun is enough for it to be a good episode. But we'll talk about that bit later on. Let's just talk you guys through the episode from start to finish, and then we'll go break it down to what we like, what we didn't like. I think we'll agree on some points of what we don't like. Maybe what we would like, we may agree, we may not. However, that's the brilliant point of this. George will not be joining us for this episode. He, again, really isn't into it on a whole. I mean, I said I applauded him last time. He's given it a proper try. He's just not for him, and that's fine. He wants more of his boy Kylo Ren. We'll see him later on, I'm sure. But for now, let's go through episode 6. So season 2, episode 6, From Beneath. The episode starts off with Tora, Flex, Orca, and Kaz on board a shuttle going to Orca's homeworld, which I forgot the name off the top of my head because it is quite late here in the UK. Apologies to that. They are slowly descending, rapidly descending through a gas cloud. Everything is screwed up. Kaz even asked Orca, Flex, is the weather usually like this? So no, it's gotten worse for some reason. And also he's saying he didn't exactly depart on the best of terms. So they're going through this giant gas cloud, weather's getting worse, they lose the vertical stabilizer, and they end up kind of almost crash landing, but eventually they manage to save it. They land and see a huge amount of fuel laid out. And as they're doing this little platform starts to rise, and we find out on board is a bunch of creatures similar to Flex. Again, mine's gone on me now.
That goes though.
It goes with that's it. So it's from the same flock. It's very much a bird thing, and they're kind of cool. They all have very similar names though, because Flax and Flex and yeah, it's all too similar for my liking. Anyway, so he comes along and asks where his uncle is, and he's demanding some fuel because his family is entitled to it. And it turns out they've actually just hit a little bit of a pocket of, like, huge pocket, as he says, of fuel. This is now that you've come to claim, some whilst we've had our big windfall. And he's like, well, what windfall? And he discovers they've been doing deep core drilling, which Flex immediately tells them off for. Says, you can't do that purely because of the dragon. Kaz and Tora go, well, what do you mean dragon? Of course, the other guys just laugh at him, going, "Oh, you still believe this fable, this story we've been told?" So, well, yes, it's true. There's a dragon below, and eventually they get into it, and they decide they'll go down and give him a hand and have a look at repairing the drill, because apparently the drill is broken. On the way down, they get stuck on this shaft. This shaft, they can hear something in the background, something in the fog. It hits the lift itself. It doesn't go particularly well. The lift breaks. Kaz manages to stop it plummeting completely, but Tora and Orca have to climb up to the top, try and get help, get the shuttles, go and pick them up. Whereas Kaz, Flex, and Flax, well, that's a mouthful. Kaz, Flex, and Flux, a flux capacitor here, end up going down there to have a look at the drill. Kaz manages to save them, has to walk around the other side completely. He's stuck. CB23, Flex, and Flax are stuck on one side. Orca and Tora have to climb up to the top, as I said before. As Kaz is walking around, though, he does actually eventually come face to face with said giant dragon. We think it could be a crate dragon. We're not quite sure. It's not actually mentioned in the episode. However, it is big, it's beastly, and it has red eyes. It's this thing right here. I thought you're doing the pictures I'm going through.
Oh,
here.
sorry, Sud. Yeah, sorry.
So, as I said, first up, arriving, discussing, agreeing, lift. Kaz stuck on one side, dragon, here we go, and now we're on this point. So, here we go. Yeah, so big beastie dragon. So the thing is a crate dragon, not quite sure, but again, knock around actually believes him. So, cut back to Flex and Flax. Kaz runs on and says, yes, I actually have seen a dragon this time round. And he goes, yeah, he still doesn't believe him. He then cut back to Sergei's Tora and Orca, who now have pretty much got to the top. But by this point, though, the dragon's come around and snaps up Flax in his beak. Yes, there you go. Continues on from there to back at the top where the rest of the crew is standing around. Orca comes up, basically has a little rant at them, and they say, oh, no wonder he likes him. Yeah, he's kind of a leader. I think they kind of all kind of like having someone in charge. They then get the shuttle, go down. Kaz and Flex are trying to use the drill to kind of have a go at the dragon, see if they can't disarm it. They find out it doesn't like bright lights. However, this particular point, Flax gets snapped up in its beak and taken away. They are able then to finally get the drill up and running, get the shuttle down there, and basically perform some kind of rescue. But again, by using lights and finding out there's actually a whole nest of them down there. All they're trying to do is protect their family. Flax is able to go, okay, once it's all done, they seal up the passageway and go, okay, we need to stop drilling here. They go out, they get their fuel, and they leave. So overall, it's a fun little episode, but there are a few bones of contention I think you and I may agree on. Dave, first off, full impression of the episode from there.
As I said, we've just kind of covered a bit. I was just a bit disappointed again that this is another creature feature so close to the last one. But there were things that I did like about the episode. I really enjoy Kaz's performance in this episode. I thought was really, really strong. I thought him and the Flax as well. I really enjoyed their sort of banter and things like that throughout the episode. So I really like that. Kaz was probably my favorite character in this story. I love them having to climb out up that massive ladder that is just like just this ladder to just so high that I have to try and get up there. I do love that they had, if you watch Bucket's list on YouTube or StarWars.com, they tell you what could have happened. Now, it is mentioned that Flax left to be a lounge singer, and he was supposed to have a musical number, which was cut out of the episode. Very pleased about that. Last time we had singing in Star Wars, that was the worst ever.
Yeah, we all remember my rant on that one.
But although aside from it being a creature feature again, I quite liked the way they did the dragons, that they were kept in the background. It was a very dark episode once they were actually obviously in the pit of this hole they were drilling, so you would get that. So the dragons were hid quite well. The only thing I think sometimes is with the style of animation that they do, if it's dark with that and the sort of cell style of animation that they use, it can be a little bit hazy where you don't quite see enough. But I think for the kind of episode it really worked for that as well.
It worked for the effect, yeah.
Yeah. So I think if it had been anything else, it might not have so much, but certainly with this episode, it worked for that. I did like how they found out how to defeat the dragon with the lights, and I really like that. I don't quite like how they just blew up a hole that they'd already dug and locked them inside. Like, there you go. We're looking after them. We've locked them in this hole forever. I'm sure they'll find a way out. They'll be fine.
Well, they were locked in there to start with. They opened it back up. Apparently,
they did drill the hole themselves.
So kind of lock it back up again.
So I thought there was plus points. It was an okay episode. For me personally, the only reason I disliked it was because of how close it was to last time we had a creature feature.
I think it's even worse though when you watch it back to back.
Yeah,
by a week it's been bad. Back to back, that's gonna get much. So when you rewatch it, it's gonna be a mental.
2 episodes, then you had 1 episode that was a break from it, then straight back to another big creature, and that was what made me disappointed. I think had it been the same sort of story but not with dragons, something else causing that, even if it had been something to do with the First Order. Down there's something else already going on. I think I would have been much happier. It was just the fact it was a dragon that really kind of dropped the episode for me.
Yeah, and I agree on that particular point. And my point is, when we've had, 2 episodes back to back, and then this as well, it's just this. We want more meat on the bone. We want more story. We want more of Tam, the First Order, her conflict. You want Kaz, the Resistance. You want Leia. You want to know what's happened with, what's happened with Crate. We know it's after this, but they haven't got the message from Leia, so what's going on with that? I mean, do they get it? Do they not get it? And then you got to wonder, well, how close is it all together? And it's just this. We really would just like, I think, more meat on the bones of the story so far. That being said, taking the episode just as an episode, quite fun. I love the interaction. I love finding out a bit more about Flex. I mean, the fact is a lounge scene I thought was quite funny. And then I want to talk about the Beastie Boy here. The dragon, I thought it looked really cool. I thought the design was really cool. I like the fact that you didn't see much overall until the very end, where you saw just a few of them kind of crying around. But even then, saying that, it was only what was lit, so there still was stuff to hide. My one bone of contention with the dragons was, hey, I have literally put you in my mouth, but I'm not going to chew you or swallow you. And yes, I know it's a kid's show or aimed at a younger audience. However, it's just like, this is a little bit too convenient that he hasn't yet been digested.
It was quite, that was quite funny when it did actually get him in his mouth and closed it, and then it was opening its mouth and he was still in there. So it was good. I mean, yeah, there were certainly moments that were enjoyable. It was very, obviously that was quite light, but again, this isn't a show aimed at children, so it absolutely has to. You can't have got to munch them, spat out the bones. It's not going to happen that way in this series. But no, so yeah, there were moments of levity in this.
There were some good. I mean, I'm probably just a dark person wanting more violence in my Star Wars. But then again, watch The Mandalorian and you'll have now plenty of that. We are fine. If you want a nice little aperture closing, Mandalorian as you show. This has its own version in a way, but again, so on the whole, it's a good episode. I like the peril of the fuel. Again, they keep repeating this, but it's a good repetition. It's this good constant crisis because you know it's going to be a bone of contention and you know it's going to come back at some point in a very big way. But again, it's just this, they could have done more with it and they didn't.
Yeah, I do like the fact that at the end of the episode they had the fuel, so now we know going forward, they're gonna move on now. They're gonna refuel. They're actually going to be able to move the Colossus somewhere else. So we're going to head on another adventure, which is I'm quite hopeful for the coming episodes that we've got. This is just it just didn't land very well for me. This one, it's a bit disappointing for me.
Indeed, I think this is why this is going to actually be one of our shorter episodes, is because there isn't much meat on the bones to discuss. I mean, this may even end up being as long as the show itself, maybe even shorter, purely because there isn't a huge amount of input. It's a fun episode. It has good points. And again, Kaz was a good point in this episode. Tora and Orca were kind of just shoved to one side. CB23 was used for, just purely just for the light effect. But it's just again, I think it's going to be a good point going forward. I think they'll come back for more fuel later on. I think the First Order might get there. Again, I think this could be because the First Order were looking for a refueling station, which is why they wanted the Colossus in the first place. So they could use this as a point to go back to. So if they've tracked them by any means, which we know is possible, they could go there and get more fuel. So again, this could be used as a plot point later on. I'm not quite sure, but at the same time, I think it'd be good to find out.
I do, yeah. I think you're right. I think it could be a starting off point that we may have to revisit, especially now we know that Glax's family is there. So I think it's nice that we know he's got relations, not just other members of that species, but actual family. So I think certainly it might tie back in that we might come back to this place. Whether we do or not is very much going to depend on how they're kind of using the story for the rest of the series. As I say, we've kind of got so much in the we haven't seen for a while. Let's say Tam is a major. She has the most interesting arc of all the characters in this series.
Dave, sorry, we lost you for a few minutes there. Do you want to kind of go back?
Yeah, I was just saying that we're just missing things on this. I really miss Tam. She, for me, has the most interesting story arc in all of this series, especially with it being the final series. I really, really miss her not being part of the show.
Agreed. My problem is where we only have 2 seasons, especially now we know we've got 19 episodes. We're at episode 6. We've only got 13 episodes left to go. But the problem is when they've released the show, I think it really is a problem where because The Rise of the Skywalker hasn't yet come out and they can't do too much, they're giving themselves a few weeks worth of filler, but it's just too many weeks. If they started the show in January, maybe kind of given it a full year between the between 2 seasons, it may have been slightly better to then go, okay, we can fill out as much storyline as we like. This does feel a bit like they are waiting for December. And that's an issue when you go back to rewatch the show. On the whole, you'll just get this feel going, come on, get to the big storyline. And this unfortunately feels like purely because, Tam, I agree with you, it's got the most interesting story arc of any character in this series. Again, Pyre and Tyranny, again, really cool parts of it. What happens with Yeager and Dozer, the Aces, what happens with the Pirates as well, how the Pirates could potentially be the undoing of the Colossus as well. We don't even know if they're going to stick around the entirety. They could actually end up going to the First Order. I don't think they will. I think everything will be fine, but there's so many bones of contention, so many plot points they could utilize, and yet they're just not, and it's a shame. It really is a shame. At this point, you could be doing filler, but in a way of how Tam is feeling. You could do it as she's like Finn, for example, episode 7. She's put in a position where she has to do something that she doesn't want to do. Maybe that could then push her decision further. It could be filler, but it could be useful filler. This just feels like filler for filler's sake, especially, yes, there's fuel in it, but again, it's all too easy and they just get away, and it's just this very simple cut and paste. We've done one creature feature with training, we've done one part with needing to eat, here's another one with fuel, and it's just this too short, too sweet, and too kind of, there's just not enough meat on the bone.
Yeah, I think it would have been really helpful, even if in these episodes we just visited Tam for a few scenes. Not even you don't need massive scenes with her, just the odd scene here and there in each episode to know where she is and what she's thinking. And yeah, I really want her back and her to be a main part of this story going forward.
Agreed. I'm not quite sure what we'll get going forward. I think that with again, it depends how close to the Rise of Skywalker they want to get before they release any of this meat on the bone. Even with the aces, there was more they could have done. This could have been an ace mission. They could have sent the aces off to get the fuel. They could have gone, we need some more experienced pilots. Again, it's just Kaz and Tora, and it's this. Again, you want to. Yes, Kaz is a great character, and I love what he's done with the show. And this episode was more interesting for him. He was the one that went, okay, no, I believe you. I believe this dragon. Yes, he's a little younger, so of course he has that kind of imagination. But he's again going, okay, what if this is true? But let's just work together. He was the glue that made them go, look, what if it's real? It's real. If it's not, it's not. But let's just go down there. Let's fix your drill. Let's get our fuel. Let's do what we need to do. Let's just gel so we can come together as a team and do what we need to. And family is family. And he does help, and he does make it so at the end, everything is how it should be. As CB23 is CB23 again. I think she's being underutilized, especially here. It's just she happens to be a convenient light.
Yeah,
and I want more.
To be honest, they're doing big time drilling. They're going to have a torch around there somewhere.
Yeah, especially since it's all underground. It's all this deep core stuff as well. You're going to have a big ass light.
Well, see, I mean, that's how they finish them off with these massive, huge lights that they've had lying around anyway. And yes, they needed CB23 for their help with that. Moving forward, we are looking for. I mean, the next episode we get, which is episode 7, is called
Relic Raiders. Yeah.
And with that, we're actually going to a Sith temple.
Yeah, so when Kaz and team arrives on a mysterious planet to buy supplies, they find the outpost has been abandoned and a secret Sith temple has been raised. Considering we know we've got Sith troopers in the Rise of Skywalker, this could be some juicy meat on the bone here.
I really hope it is. I really hope it's there for a reason, because obviously we're not going to visit a Sith temple to not have anything to do with the Sith happen.
Yeah. I mean, Sith happens, we all know that, but
no, Sith does happen, yes, sir.
Sith does happen. However, we also know that from the trailer itself, we've got some cool troopers we've never seen before coming.
Yeah, we've got. That's why I say I'm really hopeful for the coming episodes. I know the one after that as well is actually going to be First Order related as well. I do hope we get some First Order with the next one as well. If it's a Sith temple, we're hopefully going to be linking in with Kylo. I really hope there's something in that.
Well, afterwards we've got Rendezvous Point, which is episode 8, and I think that's going to be the starting point of the Rise of Skywalker tie-in line. So I reckon this could be the last of the filler for a while, and I really hope it is.
I do as well. I think you're right. I just want this series. We know for myself, I wasn't in from the get-go, but series 2, the way it started, had me really excited for the show in a way I hadn't been for all of season 1, and to now being 6 episodes in, but kind of waning a little bit because of the stories they've told so far. When they have so much story that they could be telling, that would make for me better episodes. I need this to kind of pick up, and I need to pick up quickly.
But I am now wondering if, as we got Relic Raiders and then Rendezvous Point, then at that particular point we are only 4 weeks out, 3-4 weeks out from the Rise of Skywalker. I reckon if it's going to be Sith trooper related, then we'll get meeting up with the Resistance. I reckon getting the note from Leia, that whole message of, hey, we need help. And I reckon from there it could go forward. So I think by the time we then get to the Rise of Skywalker, it will be all this whole point of, okay, now we need to meet up with them, and then afterwards it will be that year gap. Yeah. This is where lots of meat will be on the bone. I really think this will be it.
Are we getting a mid-season break in this series?
Always.
So we'll reach the midpoint in what we're on. Is it 16 episodes? Sorry, did you say
19?
19. So we're not far away. We're only what? Yeah. So once we hit episode 9, we're going to be
actually saying that episode 9 of the show will be around about the same time episode 9. Going out the Rise of Skywalker.
It's going to be literally just before, yeah. So we've got 3 weeks, another 3 episodes to get there, and then we literally will be on top of Rise of Skywalker, which is, oh my god, that's coming so quickly. We've got Mandalorian, we've got, oh my word, everything's coming at once. It's amazing.
Well, we already knew it. We said this after last year, after Solo came out. So we've got a year and a bit's grind, guys. Bear with us. We'll do what we can. We'll give you what news we can. But wait until next summer, when Celebration happens, and then it's all gonna kick off. And then we had Resistance to tide us over, and then it came. And now we are in this period where it's like, yeah, we're happily doing 2, 3, 4, 5 shows or whatever it is. Yeah, we'll do 2, 3 shows a week plus our list videos, which we've kind of put on the back burner because there's so much news and so much to review. We don't have the time to then go. We had to pick and choose our own content, which for us is a great problem to have.
Yeah, amazing. It's been a long time in sort of getting to this point where we've had this, but now the channel's kind of finding its feet, and which is a weird thing after nearly 3 years that it's starting to finally fall.
3 years in January.
Yeah, it's sort of going 3 years, but then now only just sort of finding, oh, we'll put this as its own set of videos and this is its own set of videos and keep the main show as a shorter show just about the news. So it's really starting to feel it's getting in its flow, and it's a really nice time for it to happen, especially where we are with the content that we're getting.
Oh, too right. We've got plenty more to come. I mean, we are just getting started.
Let's hope so.
We had a great Mandalorian discussion earlier. The Resistance is our thing. There's plenty more. I mean, I've got some Star Wars ideas on the back burner. We've all got ideas brewing. We're gonna put as much content as possible. And I think going forward, next week and the week after, Relic Raiders and Rendezvous Point. I don't know what episode 9 is called.
I don't think the title's up yet. I don't think that's up there.
Let me just check. I don't think it's up.
Well, if it looks at that, if you are interested,
Kaz's Curse.
Oh, Kaz's Curse. Okay. So it is out there. The title. Does it give you a breakdown of that?
Yeah. So with the Colossus running out of money, hype risk everything by taking the aces out to race at Varkey's Casino, run by Vranaki the Hutt. That's a mouthful and a half.
Okay.
So Rendezvous Point, though, will be better. Rendezvous Point is those attempts to meet a resistance pilot from his past, but the pilot's been captured by the First Order. That will be good.
That will be. But you know what? Getting the aces in a bit more and a Hutt clan to go racing, so we're looking at sort of pod racing sort of side of it. That could be really cool too. So we do have some exciting episodes coming in Resistance.
Oh wait, no wait. It's the Vox Vortex 5000. Is that Kaz's Curse is the episode after that?
Okay.
Which is 8th of December.
Well, we are literally on top of Rise.
Then we'll have Station to Station is 15th of December, and Kaz's Curse we haven't actually got a release date for. That'll be after the break.
That'll be after the mid-season break. So we have not many episodes to go before we'll be taking a rest, but Resistance will be taking a rest. We certainly won't. We will be putting out content. We are all finally getting together in the first time we've all been in the same room in the 3 years since we've met.
Yeah, because I can't even go to Birmingham this weekend, so I'm not even going to be able to potentially see you guys. So for me, it's like, yeah, it will just be the first time all three of us have been in the same room in December.
Yeah, when we go see Rise of Skywalker, we're going to watch the 3 films. It's going to be an amazing time. We're going to put as much content out around that time as we can. We'll probably have a review of the movie once we step out of the film, which would be amazing to have all 3 of us to go through the movie really quietly in our hotel room so not to disturb anybody. But it's going to be really good. We've got some great things coming out. As Phil mentioned, we do have earlier this evening we did our Mandalorian review of the episode number 1, chapter number 1 as they're called. I like how they're doing chapters. If you want to go over there, get that checked out. It is up on our YouTube page. The audio will be out shortly as well for that episode. We had a really good time talking over the first episode of what looks like it's going to be an amazing series.
Indeed, we have plenty of you joining in for that show as well, commenting, liking, just it. All interaction was brilliant. We really loved it. I think so. Anything else you want to add before we end this particular show? Because I think this is about it. This show, especially this week's show, was so compact. There was not a huge amount of meat on the bone for us to discuss. But however, it's given us discussions of what we want going forward, what could go forward. Good points this episode, bad points this episode. Still giving us a fair amount to talk through. So
no, I think it is exactly that. I'm looking forward to what's coming, and I'm glad we've got past what we've had. I'm looking forward to, the creature stuff's great. That's done. Let's move on to bigger and better things we build up towards basically the end of this series as a whole. I want them to go out big. I want them to go out strong. I really want this to come through on this series. I'm really, really want them to go out as big as they can.
Yeah, same here, same here. And I think all I've left to say is, as per usual, thank you so much for watching, joining us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at One's the Force Stars Podcast, at the Force Podcast. You can find the audio for this version later on Podbean, Stitcher, iTunes, and Spotify. The video, of course, will be up on YouTube. We've been One's the Force. May the Forces all be with you. Good night.